Hi, folks. This is Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D. for the Maoist Third Worldist Collective. Let me apologize for repeatedly bringing up myself as an example in these podcasts, but to be honest, I know me more than I know anybody else. So I guess that's sort of an inevitability that I will use myself as an example, at least for me. I don't know, maybe other people wouldn't do that. First, I something that occurred to me just before. I hope, I hope that this thing on top of my head does not look like a crown. That just occurred to me before. If it looks like a crown, I apologize. That is not my intent. I don't wear this hat anywhere else except in my condo when I'm making these podcasts. I wear regular like baseball caps with like communist slogans on them. But I don't, or pictures of Mao or statements like "Workers of the World Unite" or Antifa, which Trumpists call Antifa. But so I hope this doesn't look like a crown. That is not my intent. So if it does, I'm sorry, but I like it. I like the way it looks for these videos. It seems to work for me. I wanted to bring up something else, which unfortunately is also related to me. It has to do with my car. Um, you know, I have always had poor night driving skills. Don't see that well at night. And as you get older, your night driving, if it starts out being bad, it gets worse. My night driving is not atrocious, except when I'm in a poorly lit area. Well, that's what happened last week. I was in a poorly lit area heading down to Denny's restaurant, and I went over a median in the road. Initially, I thought I just gave myself two flat tires. Well, I was mistaken. I actually not only damaged two tires, I damaged all four tires, and I also damaged all four wheels. So all four wheels and all flat tires have been replaced. Apparently, um, I also damaged uh, another part of the car, and the transmission fluid is leaking out. So I hope I don't need a whole new transmission. The car is now in another shop, the dealership, because the place where I had my car, Firestone, does not do transmission work. And so I'm hoping that it is simply a leak in the transmission and that I don't need an entirely new transmission. But here's the thing, and this is what genuinely bothers me. And when I say it bothers me, I'm being honest. I'm not just saying that to sound impressive or to make myself sound humble. It really does bother me. I don't care. Um, the money really makes no difference to me. Um, I have too much money in the bank. Now, I have no money here in my condo. My condo does not look very impressive. It's sparsely furnished, if you could see it. There's not much here. I don't keep any valuable things here. I get a paycheck, which goes uh, into my bank account from my fiduciary, and I get my pension, which comes from the college, also once a month. That goes into the same bank account. And then starting in a little over 2 years, I will begin getting Social Security when I turn 70, because if you wait until you turn 70, the amount of Social Security that you get is higher. And so I don't need Social Security, but I will begin collecting it when I turn 70. I will turn 68 in February, so it is literally 2 years and 2 months from now. But what disturbs me, and I'm being perfectly honest in this, I'm not saying it to impress anybody or to make myself look like a really good guy. It really bothers me that when I have to lay out this kind of money, it has no effect on me at all. I had a friend who's been helping me out, my neighbor. He's been driving me to the Nissan dealer. He's been driving me to the Firestone shop. Very nice guy. Really like him. He's my best friend in this area. Well, his father's also my best friend, so I guess both of them are. He is 46, I believe. His father is 80. They both live together in this 55 plus community. He can live there because his father is still alive. When his father dies eventually, which I hope will be a long time from now, it is debatable whether he will be allowed to continue living here. There is being an investigation conducted to see if there is a loophole which would allow him to continue living here, but nobody knows that yet. I hope he can, because he's a nice guy and I would like to continue having him as a neighbor. And I see no reason why he shouldn't be allowed to live here. But that's just my own opinion. But it really bothers me. It really, really bothers me that I don't care about the expenses I'm putting into my car. They told me at Firestone that when it comes to my transmission, there may be simply a leak in the transmission. I think it's called a tray that goes underneath it. And in that case, it won't be that expensive. Or I may need an entirely new transmission, which might be around $800 or so. And I just basically shrugged my shoulders. I realized afterwards, my goodness, I shrugged my shoulders. Why? Because it makes no difference to me. It literally makes no difference to me. I don't like that. It makes me feel bad about myself. It really does. I feel as though I am taking my money for granted. Why? Because I am taking my money for granted. I have the money. It's just me. I have no dependents. I don't have a spouse. Most autistics don't get married. I am one of them. I have no children. So I'm living here in this nice condo by myself, and I have nobody else to take care of. So the money just keeps on piling up and piling up and piling up every 2 weeks in my Bank of America account. And I hardly spend any of it. So the money is just growing there for no particular reason, because I literally don't need it. So I'm debating, what do I do with it? Do I give a lot of it to charity? Well, eventually I will. Eventually I will. But I need to sit down with my fiduciary and decide exactly how I'm going to do it. I don't want to do it on myself because I am a financial imbecile. If I tried doing it on myself, I'd mess everything up. So I would need to work it out with my fiduciary, Rosa, and have her come up with a plan with me. I don't even have a will. I haven't written a will yet. I haven't written a living will yet. I really need to write both of those, because if I died tomorrow, my money, my housing here would I don't know what would happen to it. It wouldn't go to anybody in particular. I imagine it would be battled out in court. So I need to get this stuff straightened out eventually. But it's like I just don't care about the money. I really don't. I don't need it. I don't need all the money I have. And that's really awful. When I think about all the people in third world countries who are suffering, who are starving, who are homeless, who are dying of diseases. And I think about myself in comparison. It is difficult for me to come to terms with that. Now, somehow I manage to live with myself. I don't know how. I guess I don't think about it that much. There is a term in psychology, which we also sometimes use in my own field of sociology, called compartmentalization. And that means that you take different aspects of your life, especially aspects of your life that might be contradictory, and you put them into different compartments. And that allows you to live with contradictory things in your life. It's similar to Leon Festinger's concept of cognitive dissonance and cognitive consonance, very similar. The idea of Festinger is that all of us strive for cognitive consonance, where there is an agreement between what I do and what I believe, that there are not contradictory aspects of my life. If I hold a certain value, then I should conform to that value. If I don't conform to that value, then I might experience what Festinger called cognitive dissonance. And the more cognitive dissonance that we experience in our lives, the more stress we experience. And so the tendency in all of us is to reduce the amounts of cognitive dissonance and increase the amounts of cognitive consonance. Well, compartmentalization is one of the ways in which we do that. Compartmentalization does not come from Leon Festinger. In fact, I should look it up. I don't know who coined that term, but it is certainly a very valid and valuable term. And I must be doing that. That's all I can think of. I must be really good at compartmentalizing things, at putting things into different boxes and not letting the boxes flow into one another. There aren't too many leaks. Say I have liquids in different containers, and the leaks are kind of, if there are any leaks in it, the leaks are all patched up so that the liquids don't go from one bottle into another. In other words, my compartmentalization must be very efficient. I must be really good at avoiding cognitive dissonance. I must be, because do I feel bad all the time? No. And sometimes, honestly, I feel bad that I don't feel bad. If that makes any sense. I guess it does. I feel like I should feel bad, but I really don't, except when I think about it, like I'm thinking about it now. Now I feel bad talking about it. I feel bad. I feel guilty. Honestly, I do feel guilty about it. There are a lot of people that could really benefit from what I have, but I have it. They don't. I have a friend who has a habit of giving large amounts of money to her friends. Now, I don't feel like I have any right to tell her what to do. It's none of my business. If she wants to do that, let her do that. But I think that what she is doing, honestly, is creating a kind of culture of dependency. Now, in the short term, that may be justified. She knows a lot of people who are living on the edge of the cliff, or about to fall into poverty, who are about to become homeless, who need $1,000, $10,000, whatever. And this friend of mine, well, she can provide the person with that money. So I can see that, at least in the short term. Doing it on a short-term basis. Sometimes she asks the person to pay them back. They do sometimes, other times they don't. Sometimes she says, forget about it, it's a gift. But she does it so much that I feel as though she is creating a kind of culture of dependency around her, that other people are relying upon her and looking at her as a source of income, as their own personal piggy bank. It's not good for her because she needs the money too. She's wealthy, but she doesn't really have a pension. When she retires, she'll need the money for survival, and she doesn't really have a pension. She has that doesn't have an extensive amount of savings. She has some, but not an extensive amount. And yet this kind of culture of dependency, which is formed around her, has resulted in her constantly, literally constantly, giving money to her friends. Constantly. People come to her and ask her for money, and she just gives it out. And I'm sympathetic. I am sympathetic. I help people too. I do. Not as much as her, because I do not want to create a culture of dependency. I do help people, but I'm careful how I do it, and I'm careful who I do it with. I don't give money to everyone I know who needs it. I give it to people who I think are responsible, people who are careless, people who needlessly throw away their money on extravagant things they can't afford. I'm not going to give them any money because they've gotten themselves into their own mess. And me giving them money is not really going to help them because they're going to just go back and make the same mistake all over again. They need to learn from their mistakes. So my concern for my friend is that she's not doing that she is not thinking about things in the same way as I am. Is it any of my business? No. Have I ever said this to her explicitly? No. We have discussed it, but I've let her discuss it. I have not interjected my own thoughts as I am doing now without revealing the identity of the person. So I don't want to be a piggy bank. I don't want to create a culture of dependency. But by the same token, I have all this money that I really don't need, that is piling up and has led to the fact that my car is in the shop. Maybe I should buy a new car. Maybe. I could afford to, but I don't really care about cars. I've never been interested in cars. My car doesn't look that good. It's dented and needs a paint job and whatnot. But I don't care. What I care about a car is that it drives. My car is a 2015 car with only 40,000 miles on it. That's how much I drive. But I know so many people who really could use the money. I'm not one of them. I don't need it. What do? I sit around my condo writing and making podcasts and watching other podcasts and then going out to eat on a fairly regular basis. And usually when I go out to eat, to be honest, I go to relatively expensive restaurants. But they're not expensive to me. To the average person, they would be out of consideration. They would not even imagine going to a restaurant like that. To me, it's nothing. Spending $100 for a meal is meaningless. It has no effect on me. So now that I've gotten that out of my stomach, wanted to bring myself back to earth, if that's possible. I really don't know what to do. I do feel bad about it. I certainly do not respond to blind requests for money. Have I gotten any? One or two, not many. But if somebody sends me one, I just ignore it. For all I know, the person could be a crook. How do I know who the person is? But I do support a couple of people, or help to support them. But these are people I know, and I know very well. So them, I am willing to help support. Just some stranger coming to me wanting money, no, I'm not going to give them individually money. I may establish some kind of a trust fund or a foundation where money is given based upon certain conditions to people for various projects. That might be a good thing to do, because I will be accomplishing two things. First, I will be encouraging people to develop various service projects, things that might genuinely help society, or more specifically, perhaps, help my own area of the Rio Grande Valley, which needs a lot of help. And I would also be helping these individuals. But I haven't done that yet. And I may do that when I see my fiduciary sometime in the next week or so, which is the plan. My original plan was to go and see her on Monday. That does not look like it's going to happen, because my car will most likely still be in the shop on Monday. So most likely that time scale will be delayed. I'll have to push that forward maybe a week or so. But I still feel bad. And I really don't know what to do about it, other than to try my best to be of help to people, but not to simply give money to people who ask for it, something which I would not under any circumstances do. So I feel kind of in a bind, like in a catch-22 situation. That is my life. I live a life of comfort, a life of luxury. But why? Why? Why should I? Who am I? I'm nobody. I literally don't deserve to live the life I am leading right now. That's how I feel. I don't deserve it. This is Mark, by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D., for the Maoist Third Worldist Collective. Have a pleasant day, and an even better day tomorrow.